In this video, I'm going to be breaking down who I am, my background, as well as what I'm trying to do with this business, AI Sales Secrets, and where I'm ultimately looking to go with it. So, for those of you who don't know who I am, my name is Tommy. I've been in the online info space for just about 4 years at this point, and I've done millions online in terms of sales as a sales rep, as well as a couple of other different sorts of positions. Um, my intention moving forward, and to give you clarity on this channel and what's going to be going on here, is to document what I am doing when it comes to leveraging AI for the purposes of growing and scaling businesses, how to make more sales with AI, if that's going to be you as a sales rep looking to see how you can make more money leveraging AI in terms of commissions. If you're a business owner who's looking to actually grow and scale, how to go about using AI to do that. What the beautiful thing is, you have a lot more ways to win using AI. And then the last thing is going to be actually showing the best practices that I see on how you can do that. So the end goal is to make more money and save you time if you're a business owner, and to do it in a way that is easy, effortless, and makes sense. Transparently, my intention with this is to go through and actually build something great. I see myself long term being able to build there's going to be like a software business or something like that. But in order for me to do that in an ethical way, I have to be able to genuinely provide value. A couple of the people who I look up to and who I am modeling, number one is Alex Hormozy. He's actually the gentleman who got me into the online high ticket space. I was actually recruited by him during my time in the high ticket space to work one of his portfolio companies. And it was one of the best experiences I've ever had. Got to see behind the curtain, so to speak, in a lot of different ways. But then the other thing that has influenced me greatly is another gentleman, also Alex. His name's Alex Becker, and he owns a company. I believe it's worth 40 million, I think, right now. And it basically helps businesses track their ads better so they can ultimately make more money and scale easier and more effectively. So those are two of the biggest people who have influenced my way of thinking, as well as Sam Ovens. He's another gentleman who's influenced my way of thinking. And what does that mean to you? Why should you be listening to this? Because transparently, I feel right now with the way the online space is, there's a lot of basically we're in a trust recession, so to speak. There's a lot of people that are willing to put their ethics on pause for a paycheck temporarily because they either scale too quickly or they don't think things through ahead of time. And as a result of that, there's a lot of people that are left kind of holding the bag, so to speak, and are in a shitty spot after having been promised the world and they've got nothing for it. And I personally feel like that is not the way to go about operating a business. So I am looking to do things differently. Instead, what I'm looking to do is genuinely figure out what is it that people want, what is it that people need, and how can I go about genuinely facilitating that. I'm not saying I'm perfect, but I do believe in integrity. I do have my own ethics, and I'm not going to be the type of person who's going to go for the short term win and sacrifice the long term just because I have bills to pay. Because to be honest, like with the way the world is now, you can bankrupt yourself out of most of your shit, and then you can get back on the wagon. Not to say I would do that, but that's something you can do. And I would rather do that as opposed to put somebody else in a compromising position, just to tell you where my head's at. So, right now, what I'm doing is working with people and I'm genuinely trying to solve problems and going through that process of figuring out, iterating, and finding something that actually is valuable for people and will be helpful. And so that's what this channel is about, is talking about those experiences, seeing how I can genuinely help, and then eventually building my own offer around those genuine needs that I can solve, as opposed to, I think people want this. It seems to be printing a lot of money. I'll just put a random offer out there, hope and pray, and figure it out later. That's not the way that I want to approach this. Yes, I could potentially build my own offer around like education, which I may even do that, who knows. But my mentality is more on the software world. Now, in the meantime, I am probably going to sell shit and do services for people in various ways, shapes, and forms to make sure that I can pay my bills and do it in a way that's effective. So I am going to do that. I'm not going to pretend like that isn't the case. However, I'm not going to try to get to my goal, which is a $40 million net worth, there the entire way through a coaching consulting company. I don't see that. I don't see that as the fastest way to get there. And to be honest, too, if that was genuinely the way I was going to do it, that would be a lot of work that I'm not sure I want to do. I personally feel like the faster way is to build a software company around a genuine need from people in the online high ticket info space online businesses, etc., and build a software that actually makes sense for them, that they're willing to pay for, that pays for itself and then some, and that people never leave. That's how my thought process is right now. So if you're interested in that, you basically know most of what I'm trying to do, and I'm doing a lot of custom stuff for people. Another thing I'll mention is that I got the opportunity to work at one of the fastest growing AI specific companies in the education space. I did that for around 7 months and I learned a ton. And before I even got into sales, which is what I did for close to 3 years, um, I was going to be a software developer. And so a lot of the stuff that I'm learning and doing comes from that perspective. But then I'm also trying to meet you guys where you're at when it comes to the how to go about using it practically to make money versus just Theoryville, which is a lot of what I see people talking about right now. And so that's ultimately what I'm trying to do with this. If you are 100% on board with that, congratulations. This is the place for you. Um, just if you want to fact check me, I do have a community where I post a bunch of stuff where I'm actually actively doing this. If you go look at my Instagram, it's TOMY Talent on Instagram. There's a link there. It's free. That type of stuff. Just fill out the form the way you're supposed to. Um, and I also have close to like 22 people at this point that have gone out of their way to speak for me over my time in the high ticket space that say, hey, Tommy's actually not a dum dum. He actually is smart and he genuinely has people's best interests at heart. So, if you want to validate that, feel free to go ahead and do that. You can ask pretty much every business owner on the Sun I worked with. I'm not going to say I'm perfect and I haven't made mistakes. However, it always comes from the best possible place. So, on that note, that's what this channel is about. If you're interested in learning more about that, obviously subscribe, do whatever you got to do, and I'll be posting content if it's going to be, specific what I'm doing, how to actually leverage stuff, whatever it happens to be. Still figuring out part of that, but until that ultimately happens, happy to have you here. My name's Tommy. Looking forward to speaking to you very, very soon.